Hey there, everybody. Looks like my stuff's backwards. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Does it look backwards to you guys? Looks like we got one person watching here so far. Let me switch the top chat to live chat. That way I can see everybody commenting. What else do I need to change? Okay, should be good. Oh, it looks like we got 5 people in. 1 thumbs up so far. So, yeah, on my screen, that is like a mirror image. And then also everything's a mirror image. So I don't know what it looks like to you guys, but to me, it looks like it's messed up. So anyway, I am a couple weeks late. I was going to do a live stream 2 weeks ago, and that didn't happen. So show you guys a little bit of what I was getting myself into here. So our wall oven went bad in our kitchen. And Chris76, how are you doing? Says happy Sunday, Von Heels. How are you? So I see the beard got a trim. It did, and so did that. I actually shaved it with a razor last week. But our wall oven went bad, and come to find out, 27-inch wall ovens are somewhat of a unicorn right now. Earliest availability was going to be September. Like, we're not going to go without an oven for September. David Fisher, how are you doing? So I ended up, well, and all we had in our kitchen for a cooktop was just a glass electric cooktop that drops in through the top of the counter. And it was a 30-inch cooktop. So I elected to cut the cabinet out where the cooktop used to sit. Let me try to find a picture of what it used to look like. Maybe that'll mean more to you all. They ended up turning into quite the ordeal. It took me a few weekends to get it finished, and Mrs. Top Crane was not happy about living in a construction site, but hey, it is what it is. All right, where's it at? Yeah, I couldn't believe that the lack of availability on appliances right now is just insane. Wow, that picture's way back. More fire. Tell us something. David Rigoni, how are you doing? Says hello from Fargo Truck Stop. Von Heels, no room for a 30-inch wall oven, and I'll show you here in a second. Yeah, there was none. And it's because our kitchen, whoever built our house, they installed custom cabinets and stuff. Our house was built in the 90s, and the cabinetry that's in it is original cabinetry. So I'm not finding those pictures. Anyway, I'll show you what I ended up doing. So this used to be, I think, a 60-inch lower cabinet, and our 30-inch cooktop used to just be sunk into the top of that countertop, and then I just cut there used to be 2 drawers, 2 cabinet doors. I cut that out, and in went that, and then where our wall oven used to sit, this was the hole for the wall oven. And I ended up picking up a little wine fridge that it's not supposed to be built in, but we kind of did anyway. We'll see how it works out. But now this is where the wall oven used to be. Come on, focus. It's not going to focus. Right here, focus. So anyway, we got a wine fridge in there, and then there's a couple shelves with racking in the top and LED lights for wine glasses, and yeah, fun stuff. So anyway, that's what had me occupied for the last few weekends. So enough about that. John Warren, how are you doing? Tyler, found your page after I started my own tax crane business a few years back and always looking to learn. So your page has been great for entertainment and knowledge. Well, thanks for that. James Bergeron, how are you doing, James? Nathan, how the crane work going? So the crane work kind of slowed down a little bit right around, and it always does between Thanksgiving and generally the first of the year, but it was pretty slow even through January, February. I actually recorded some footage last week. I was in a D5 clearing out some trees and doing some dirt work for a couple days. And in that D5, I haven't even looked at the footage yet. I just put the camera in there, hit record, and let it go until it stopped recording. I don't know how much footage it got, but crane work is picking up now, so no pun. But let's see, I've got a 60,000 pound tank coming up sometime this week, a 95,000 pound tank, got a house to set, and then a 300-foot cell tower to do, which, yeah, cell tower. What else we have? What else we have going on? First part of next month, I'm going to be on a site for a week or so, setting industrial machinery down through a hatch on a roof at about a 170-foot radius. I think it's like 5,700 pounds, 170 foot. So crane work is starting to get busy. Von Heel's old foot brakes and steering clutches will give you a workout. The D5 I was running was basically brand new. Only had 2,200 hours on it. There's no steering brakes, just a decelerator and a couple joysticks. James says he's doing really good. Been recovering from messing up his back. So that looks like we've got 18 people in so far. Now, you guys remember the Juicy Caboosey? Von Hills. Yeah, that's awesome. So that's Easy Street. So Juicy Caboosey has merch. And hopefully it's not written backwards to you guys. Like I said earlier, on my screen, everything's in a mirror image. On your guys' screen, I don't know if it is or not. But Jason Angela, good evening from 50-ton bridge crane operator at Newport News Shipyard. Been doing it 13 years. That would be an interesting job. I would like to check that out sometime, but I'm right smack dab in the Midwest. I'm literally, I think, 16 miles from the geographical center of the United States. So, yeah. Josh Wellner, how are you doing? It says, nice to see you. Hey, people, hit the thumbs up. Oh, Von Hill says everything's correct from his house. So, anyway, these Juicy Caboosey shirts, if you guys go on their Facebook page, I believe they have a link to order these if you want them. And then this is what's on the back. It's got their logo on it. I don't know how well you guys can see that because I can't see what I'm doing. But when they sent me the shirt, I said, hey, I'll wear it in one of my live streams if you want to send it. So here it is. Blue Line Landworks, how are you doing? Says, haven't seen you in forever, buddy. I know I did a live stream 3 weeks ago or so, and I have got scads of footage to upload. So I think when I get done live streaming tonight, I'm going to sit down here and work on some footage and see if I can get a video or two cranked out this week. David said we had the same type of problem. Our house was built with 36-inch stove. When it came time to replace it, found 95% were 30-inch. Yep. Matthew says, can't wait for the new videos. Golem One, how are you doing? I don't know if I've even got any pictures of doing any of that dirt work. I don't think I do. Nope. I didn't take any pictures from the old dozer. Nada. URL Tower, how are you doing? So last time I was on, did you guys know that we got another dog, that we had one dog die and that we ended up getting another dog? Amanda Bennett, love your videos. I'm a lineman, operate digger derricks. I'm going to go for my New York Class B hydraulic license. Von Heels, when your work tells you to start washing down the siding walls, things are slow. Unfortunately and unfortunately for me, um, when things get slow, I work on stuff. I stay busy pretty much constantly, busier than I would like to stay at times. Von Heel said, did mention that James Burke. I was at my grandma's house today. I was watching a Caterpillar Mini X work today. So our new dog, she is a monster. See if I can find a good picture of her. She's a Greater Swiss Mountain Dog. And I don't know if I've got any good pictures of her. But she's 92 pounds and 8 months old. I could probably get her to come downstairs. Yeah, she's a big girl. She's the top of her back is even with the arm on her couch. JJD 1913, how are you doing? So glad to see you on tonight, Jimmy. Going one, got my New York B. That's good. I can't pronounce that. I'm not good with Middle Eastern names, but hello and good morning. Well, I guess good evening from me to you. It's evening time here, but Mike Garza, hey buddy, company I work for just got 2019 Sedano GR 1200 XL. Any pointers and tricks you can share? So on the GR series, one cool little, well, most all of them that I've seen, one cool little hidden feature that people don't know about is when you climb up the steps to go into the cab, underneath the cab, there's a switch to roll up your window. So if you forget to roll up the window on your door, there's a switch down there to roll up your window. But really, on the GR series, on any of the pickers, what we call them, or the RTs, I've seen a lot of people. They'll get level, and then they'll go to pick something, and they'll have chassis deflection, or they'll sink just a little bit, or whatever, and they'll start messing around with their outriggers while they've got a load on the hook, which is bad practice to get into. I've seen people almost turn over because they start messing with outriggers while they've got a load on the hook. So be confident in your setup. Those GR series are great machines. If you're on Facebook, there is a Facebook page for Tadano operators in North America. Find it, and if you have any questions or get hung up on something, people are very quick to respond on there. So it can be a great tool to use if you're running anything Tadano in the States. G4 Outdoors, is the engine and transmission at 1500 the same as the 2500? I'm only getting 7 miles per gallon towing a 16-foot enclosed. It is not the same, Randy. Sorry, buddy. If you're only getting 7 miles per gallon towing a 16-foot enclosed trailer with your, what is that, a 2019 that you have with the 6.2 in it, really about the only thing you could do is try to knock down some of that wind. You could throw a wind jammer on it, or if you put a shell on your truck, that might help knock down some of the wind. But yeah, some of those small enclosed trailers pull like bricks. It's like dragging an anchor. Von Nielsen never does cease to amaze me how long that backlog of things we should get around to eventually can keep busy. No kidding. G-Force says new puppers. We do have new puppers. Robert Meyer, how are you doing? Ken, how are you doing? Oh, Randy, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Said, and for those of you that don't know G4 Outdoors, go check out Randy with G4 Outdoors. Randy and Andy, great people, but I've been good friends with Randy for decades. And his dogs, I mean, it makes me sad to read that, because his dogs are his kids. Literally, they're his kids. And if he's got to put one down tomorrow, that's going to be a rough day in Randy's house. So, Randy, if you need anything, if you need to talk, by all means, I'm here for you, buddy. Central Tennessee greeting from Maryville. Yes, that's Maryville. Nice to see local content. How are you doing? Maryville, Missouri. That's pretty close by. Jason has been telling our new hires to check your rigging math video. They call me the math geek at work. Sling angle, side pull, etc. I know you understand. Oh yeah, I get it too, and it's a lot of stuff for me to try to remember off the cuff, especially doing live streams and stuff. People ask questions, and there are times where I legitimately have to go back and look stuff up. I mean, I don't want everybody down here to think that I've just got everything crammed in here and it stays forever. But I could probably do another math video, Jason, if you guys need one for your guys. But the ones that I did were pretty in depth, so hopefully they can follow along with that. Sparky 178, hey Jimmy, glad to see you back. Looking forward to your upcoming videos. Chris from Green Bay, how are you doing? James seen a crane working a few weeks ago, and they were doing some sketchy work with it. That block rigged up, the ball hooked to the block, and using the ball for. Oh wow! So they hooked the ball to the block. Were they pulling with both winches on one block? Because that would be a no-no. Von Heels says, if you have an outrigger start sinking, it seems like it'd be better to set the load back down rather than start playing with outriggers. Absolutely. Tyler, how are you doing? So I just got an older Manitex 22101 going over everything before I put her to work. So the only thing that I've found with with our Manitexes, and it doesn't seem to be an isolated thing, really keep an eye on your electrical. Our two Manitexes seem to have some gremlins from time to time, electrical gremlins. Typically, it's not serious, but it's stuff that can make you stand back and scratch your head, and it can be irritating. So, really, I would find any connectors that you can unplug. I would put dielectric grease in them, plug them back together, and just really pay attention to your wiring in those. Bible and Bibs, how are you? Said enjoyed seeing you work for a few minutes, taking the water tower down a while back. I could not hang around as I had a meeting that day, and I have the footage of all that. So I'll probably make that the next video. You guys, the next video, do you want it to be me taking down a 100-foot tall cylindrical? It's a cylindrical water tower, but we took it down in two pieces, had to two line it and lay it out flat, set it on a truck. So I could make that the next one. Hi from Scotland, Alba. Hello from Missouri, USA. And if my wife knew that you were from Scotland, she would probably be wanting me to get a hold of you to book a trip. G4 probably can't talk, but thanks. Daryl Intense. Daryl, how are you doing? Driving up from Arkansas, looking great as ever. So, Daryl, if you could throw a quick comment back in. I tried calling you a little while back. Is your phone number still the same? And the reason why I tried getting a hold of you, Daryl, is G4 Outdoors, which commented right above you, has a lawn care service down in your neck of the woods. And I think you are managing that foundation down there around his neck of the woods. And he would like to be able to quote your lawn care for your facility down there. He's literally like 3 miles down the road. So, Daryl, if I could get you and Randy on the same page and hooked up and talking, it would be great. If you're up for that, let me know. Josh Wellner, why the black background and no flag? Didn't you used to have a flag in the background? I love my country. I hate my government, but fly the. Okay, so Josh, here's the backstory on the flag, and you're the first person to mention that. And yes, there did used to be a flag down here. The flag got taken to a buddy of mine's place by way of the back of my motorcycle because I am also a member of the Patriot Guard Riders, and I was going to do a ride for I think he was a Vietnam vet, and I didn't have a bike flag. So I stole the one down here and I made a flag mount for my bike and went and did the ride. Well, it happened to be the same day as prom, my son's prom. So I had to exceed the speed limit getting home, and I couldn't do that with a 3x5 flag on my bike. So I rolled it up, and a friend of mine that's also in the Patriot Guard Riders put it in the back of his truck, and now it's at his house. And it's been there for a while. So then I bought another flag, and I was going to hang it up down here. And instead, I put a flagpole and light in the front of my house, and that flag is now outside. So I probably need to get another flag for down here. So there's the story on the flag, Josh, but you are correct. I did do the black background to kind of simplify everything because I felt like what I had going on was pretty busy. And so I just kind of took it all down and revamped some things. So anyway, Blue Line Lane Works. Do I ever run link belts? I have ran link belts, but we don't own any. So James Berger on there lifting with one winch, but had the ball rigged to the block as they were lifting, and I have a picture of it. Well, you can shoot it to me on Messenger, and I'll take a look at it. That might be interesting to see. Von Heels, I had the contractor tell me one was too expensive to do everything the safe way. He said sometimes you have to get her done. And don't get me wrong, and I might catch some flack for this, but there are times when you have to think outside the box and be a little bit unconventional, but you really have to know what you're doing. You have to pay attention to it. And there are times when we do unconventional things, but typically you try to do everything by the book, because if something does happen, say you have to rig your rigging at a real shallow rigging angle because of headroom, you're working inside of a building, and something happens and someone dies, someone's going to be in trouble for that. So if you do everything by the book, that you can go back and they can say, well, it was a rigging manufacturing defect or something. But if you're knowingly working outside of your tolerances, someone's going to be in trouble. Hey, Max, where's the Juicy Caboosey at? They are down in Mississippi. Shoot, we're at Mississippi. Trying to think. Let me try to find them on. Try to find them on the old Facebook here. Where in Mississippi are they? Long Beach, Mississippi. So they do have some updated pictures. They got the floor stripped out of the old caboose, and then they got the new floor in the caboose. Let's see. Hassan says, hi, good evening from Morocco. I learned a lot from your channel. Hello from Missouri, USA. Jason, the math videos were great. Just letting you know. I know I run a remote control bridge crane and you are more mobile, but rigging is pretty much the same. Rigging is pretty much rigging. Oh, Von Hills, by the way, this is over using a ladder to climb up and do some rigging versus standing on a bucket. So, Randy with G4, if you are still on here, Daryl has put his email in comments in here. So shoot him an email, and maybe you can end up being Daryl's stripe guy down there. And I think you guys would get along great. Daryl's a great guy, and Randy is a great guy. I think you guys would get along great. Amanda Bennett, can I do a demo of my background lighting? I can show you what my background lighting is right now. Don't laugh. I will take a picture of it, and then I will show you guys. It's nothing fancy. So, oh, come on, focus. that is my background lighting, or that's the lighting I'm using right now. So on this side of the screen, I have just it's like almost like a heat lamp type reflector with just a standard LED bulb in it, and then I've got white. Um, I think it's actually curtains, um, but white curtain material taped over the front of it as a diffuser. And that one is like a 3500K bulb or maybe a 3000. So it's got a little bit of an orange tint to it. And then this side is a 5600 or 50, I don't know, 5600 bulb. So it's pretty white light in the same kind of housing with the same kind of material in front of it. And then I have them on a dimmer so I can adjust it. So if you're looking at doing lighting, I think I've got $35 in all of this. JJD said Patriot Guard Riders. That's awesome. PGR, it is a great group of people. Um, I tear up every time I go to one of those services. It's pretty powerful. Tyler says, I remember when everyone was complaining in the Crane Facebook group about how low angle booms, and you posted that legendary picture of your big Tadano fully extended, laying almost flat over a building. Yeah, and I always like the argument that jibs are only used for height, because I get that a lot. They're like, you can't use jib for horizontal reach. I'm like, well, if I couldn't, then why does it say I can in my load chart? So that used to be a misnomer, and that's even on the crane certification test. You know, what is jib used for? Horizontal reach or more height? And if you put more horizontal reach on there, it's actually, according to the test, it's the wrong answer. But that's not the wrong answer. It just depends. Just depends on the manufacturer. So, when in doubt, rely on your manufacturer's literature, because if something goes south, that's what they're going to use as evidence in the courtroom, is the manufacturer's literature. So as long as you're within the specs of the crane's capabilities, and you're within the specs of your rigging capabilities, and your setup's correct, then you should be just fine. Von Hill's unconventional does not mean unsafe, but you have to be aware of what you're doing and why. Yep. James said, just sent the picture of that crane that I was talking about. Let's see if we can see if that picture's on here. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So that's different. Not sure why they would have done that. The only thing I can think, it looks like they got 4 parts of line in it. So, and it looks like that block should be more than adequate for weight. I don't know why they did that. So they've got their block there, and they shackled the block to a ball, and then they've got the rigging hooked on the ball. I mean, as long as the shackle's rated for the capacity, um, oh, they don't have a, doesn't look like they've got a latch in the hook on the ball, so that's not legal. But um, I don't know why they did it, but it doesn't look like that it would be one of those things that was, oh my gosh, the whole world's gonna stop spinning because that's so unsafe. But um, I don't see the purpose. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't there, so anything I would say at that point would be speculation anyway. I tend to try not to speculate on stuff, and if uh, if you guys are on Facebook and you're a member of any of the crane pages on Facebook, someone can post something and they immediately start getting blown up by all the armchair quarterbacks, and I hate that, because if you're not sitting there watching it with your own eyes and you're not on site, how can you sit there and critique what someone's doing, unless it's an obvious mistake, like you got your lines wrapped up, or you know something stupid, outrigger sunk in the ground, crane out of level, picking over a bunch of people, whatever. That's pretty obvious. But the biggest thing is people cribbing up cranes and horizontal reach, and people get blown up for it. So I don't get it. I try not to do that. Let's see. James said the one picture isn't good because my phone wasn't focusing on it too good. It's okay. Von Hills, in your example, low rigging angles, I would not be concerned about that as long as the rigging was sized to accommodate it, for example. That's absolutely a fact. Jason, we call them plate dogs, but yeah, we do use sheet clamps from time to time, or plate clamps. They have their place. David M. Roberts, can you give your opinion on Crane U for certification? We just bought an Altec 23 ton on a Peterbilt chassis. We are a sewer and water utility, and we'll use it for motor and pump removal. Okay, so I'm probably going to go off on a tangent a little bit about this, and I think I'm justified. Some might think I'm just complaining. If you take a guy straight off the street and you send him to a crane school, and he spends 3 days to a week at a crane school and gets his certifications and then jumps right out and jumps in a crane, he is probably going to hurt himself or someone else. The best way to get experience working around cranes or working with cranes is to go spend time working around and working with cranes while being supervised by people that have been in the industry. So, for example, I was an oiler for 4 to 5 years before I ever thought about getting in the seat to anything bigger than like a Broderson or a small boom truck. I would not, knowing what I know and given my experience with cranes, I would not be comfortable taking someone, even they can be the world's best excavator operator, they could be the world's best backhoe operator, dozer operator, you name it, whatever. They can be the best operator of whatever piece of equipment that they've been on, but new to cranes, and I would still not put them in a machine, in a crane, with just a week's worth of school. I wouldn't do it. I absolutely wouldn't do it. So that's my take on it. The crane schools. So this OSHA mandate on the crane certification has, in my opinion, actually created a situation where there is more unsafe operators now than what there was beforehand. And the reason being is them mandating the crane certification. We've lost a demographic of operators that were close to retirement but had been in the seat their entire career, so their knowledge and their skill level was irreplaceable. And so these people are close enough to retirement that they're like, well, I'm not going to go through that crap just to stay operating a crane. I'll just take my retirement, or I'll go sit in an excavator or a hoe for 2 more years and get out. And then also on the other side of that, they've created a situation where you've got all these people that are new to the crane world flocking to these crane schools to get certified with zero previous experience. They run them through a 3-day or a week-long course, and they stick them out in the real world. And contractors are picking them up because there's a shortage of operators because of all the people that were close to retirement left. And then also there's some people out there that are fantastic operators but can't pass the crane test. So, and believe me, when I say they can't pass the crane test, it's not because they're not smart and they're not good operators. It's because the crane tests are stinking hard. So you've taken so many people out of an industry that was already struggling anyway to have enough people to sit in the seat. And then you start filling it with people that have no experience, and all they've got is a little bit of classroom education, and they got to run a crane through a zigzag course and pass it. Well, now you've got people out there sitting in machines that don't have any experience, and experience is irreplaceable in this industry. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. I will take a guy with 10 years seat time and no certification over a guy with certification with 1 week of seat time all day, every day. especially if that guy that's got 10 years in has never had an accident. So that's my 2 cents. So sorry for going off on a tangent about that, but hopefully that answered your question. I'm not a fan of the crane schools. I'm more of a fan of going out and getting some experience. So you said you guys are a utility contractor. Let's see, sewer and water utility. If I was you, if you can swing it, I would try to find a crane rental company in your area and see if you can have your guys hang out with those guys, even if it's 1 or 2 days a week for the next 6 or 7 months. You know, try to get your guys around some operators that have competent operators that have knowledge and experience before you just turn them loose in your brand new 23-ton Altec. Because you may end up in a situation where your 23-ton Altec is upside down before the undercarriage is even dirty. So let's see. Back to comments. Von Heels, your jib charts would not include horizontal reach if it can be used for it. True story. Blue Line Con Expo 2023 trip. I hadn't even thought about it, but I probably need to do some thinking about it. I would love. Oh shoot. Ain't gonna happen. My daughter's getting married April 15th, 2023. I don't even know when Con Expo is. Let's see. March 14th through the 18th. And given the amount of money that a wedding costs, I would have to say I'm probably not going to make that trip. I don't know. We'll see. I better start saving some money on a pre-wife deduction right now. BHD truck driver, I think it just depends on the application of the jib and the crane size, whether or not you can use them for vertical or horizontal reach. It's all down to the manufacturer specifications. JB98, how are you doing? Spent 23 hours on a job yesterday because the crane blew a sensor on our last pick. Had to get the rig fixed. Finish the job, break it down, and roll out. That makes for a long day. James said, I thought it was weird as well. I'd never seen that done before either. I've seen it one other time, and it was only because they were using the ball from a different machine, and it didn't have enough weight to it, so double stacked a ball, which, you know, two balls hooked together, it wasn't that big a deal. Let's see, Blue Line. Have you ever run a crane like Big Carl or a tower crane? Von Heels, I'm pretty confident Jimmy has never been in the seat of a tower crane. Von Heels would be correct. I don't operate tower cranes. I've been in a 2250 and some bigger lattice boom, but not to do any work. Just been in them playing around. Golem just took my New York State update test 2-year. Tyler, NCCCO just changed their recertification. Before it was a short version of the test. Now you have to take the whole test, which stinks because, like you said, the test is hard. It's all trick questions. It is, and I don't have the NCCCO. I've got the OECP, which is the Operating Engineer Certification Program, and I've talked to guys that have both the NCCCO and the OECP, and they said the OECP is twice as hard as the NCCCO test. And I'm a good test taker, and that test I took was ridiculously hard. It's got a 50% first time pass rate, so that's a pretty tough test. Amanda Bennett from Matt, what are your thoughts on vacuum lifting attachments? I don't mind them as long as you maintain them. The battery's charged and they're hooked up correctly. We actually own one, and I've got a video way back of installing some insulated wall panels with it. So I don't mind them, but it's another tool that everybody's got to be familiar with, and especially the people on the ground that are hooking it up. And other than that, I mean, those things, they hold really well until they don't. Donald Mason says here in Alberta, Canada, over a certain tonnage, it's a 4-year apprenticeship program to be a crane operator. And I don't disagree with that. Red Rocket Pig says, how do you change parts per line on the auxiliary? So on our Tadano, there is actually not a chart for multiple parts a line on the whip line. At least there's not a place to enter it into the computer. I have 2-parted my whip line before and 4-parted my main and used my whip to tail a 50,000-pound piece. I had one end of the piece hanging off my main, the other end hanging off my whip, and used it to stand a piece up and set it. So that's another one of those things. I had to think outside the box and make something happen. There isn't a place in the LMI to add parts of line to my auxiliary. Some cranes you can, some you can't. But my line pulls 16,750. As long as you're paying attention to all the math that's involved and you're working off the correct charts, I didn't see a problem in it. It's one of those gray area things. Go on one Con Expo, go. Blue Line says Con Expo is usually at the beginning of March. We'll see. I mean, Blue Line get Tadano to sponsor me. Jason, Angela, do you do your own lift plans or do you have a rigger do them? I do my own lift plans. And I share them with whoever they need to be shared with on site. So that might be the general contractor. It might be, whoever it is we're working with. And then also we go over them before we make picks if they're critical picks. G4 2023. I've been stressing about the video coming out next month. And Blue Line says Conexpo had some really impressive crane displays. They typically do. They typically have some really neat stuff. And it blows my mind the amount of money that manufacturers spend to get in there and set stuff up. James, I've been working on trying to fix my die-cast crane. Haven't had any luck on fixing the boom. I'll have to get it where it will hold weight. It just collapses every time it has the. So on a die-cast crane, I'll tell you a little secret, James. If you have the ability to do it, and this is one of my die casts. This is an ATF. Oh, I just popped my side ladder off. Well, I'm gonna have to do maintenance on that. This is an ATF 220, but right here on the side of the boom cylinder. Let's see if I can't see through. Okay, you can probably see it. There's a set screw right there. So if you can uncork your boom cylinder out of here, drill a hole through the side, tap some threads in it, and get you a set screw that'll screw into that, and then snug it up a little bit against the rod, you might be able to get your die-cast crane to hold some weight. Well, we got to put this thing over and out of the way until we can put the ladder back on. Tyler says, do you have to restart every 5 years? I do have to restart every 5 years. Von Heels, it's a mixture of all of it. He said, is the test more book knowledge or given situation X type questions? It's a mixture of everything. There's a lot of technical stuff in it. There's OSHA standards in it. There's rigging questions. There's load chart questions. There's setup questions, barge work questions. You name it, it's in there. Says I was doing the same thing today, and Red Rocket said I was doing the same thing today, and I wondered why I couldn't add it on the auxiliary. It was on a 2016 Tadano 220G. Yeah, there's on the LMIs on that machine. There's no way to go in and change your parts of line on your whip line. Golem one, my brother has all NCCCO restart every few years. Oh my God, Sandy, China. Von Heels, I can switch. So if something happened to my main, I can reel it up. Like say I broke my rope halfway through it, I didn't have enough rope to make a pick or something. I can roll it up, and I could use my auxiliary as my main. The only difference in doing that is my cable up and down would be in my left joystick instead of my right joystick, because my right joystick is main winch up and down and boom up and down. My left joystick is swing left, swing right, telescope, retract, and also auxiliary winch up and down. Oh, James said my boom cylinders hold the boom up fine. It's the telescoping boom sections that collapsed on it. That I can't help you with, short of super glue. If you wanted to super glue your sections out, but then you're stuck with it in that position. So there's that. So I'm trying to think of what all I've got footage of to edit. Man, I've got a ton of it. I've just got a ton of stuff to sit down and do. I need about a 28-hour day, maybe 30. Or if I could clone myself, that would be pretty helpful too. But I'm not sure the world's ready for two of me. Von Hills, but the crane charts does not care which winch is being used, correct? It does not. Both winches have the same line pull. So the charts don't care. It's just on your LMI screen on your main winch, you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, clear up to however many parts of lines capable of going into the LMI. But on your auxiliary, it only gives you a place to put one part. So Brent Studemeyer, can you please do a video on how to change reeving when you can't use quick reeve and have to take apart the wedge and Beckett? I could do a video on just how to put together a Beckett, if that would be helpful. But most all of our stuff is quick reeve blocks, so we don't have to take our Becketts off of it. But I mean, I can knock a Beckett apart and put it back together and do a video on that. I mean, it's I guess that's one of those things that some people do screw up, so it might not hurt to have a video out there showing that. It's hard to do that though, because when you're putting together a Beckett, you pretty much got to use both hands, and I guess I'd have to have someone hold the camera for me. The biggest thing I see that people do wrong with a Beckett is they don't leave enough tail sticking out, or they put the wedge in backwards into the Beckett. So really pay attention to the orientation of that wedge when you put it in. Joel says earlier, you said you're not a fan of crane schools. As someone who is looking into getting in the industry, would it be a waste to enroll in one? What I'm looking at is an 8-week for all certs. That's, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that it would be a waste. A lot of it depends on the person's personality that's doing it. If you're one of those people that can be comfortable with kind of holding yourself back a little bit, so you're not out there almost killing people, you might do okay with it. Those crane schools are ridiculously expensive. Honestly, you might be better off if you're wanting to get into the world of cranes, go find your crane rental company and go work for them. Go get a Class A CDL and go find one. Right now, if you have a Class A CDL, there's a lot of crane companies that'll pick you up just because they need their counterweights and other stuff moved around. So I can't ever say that, like Von Hill said, I don't think education is a waste. I would still seek out real world experience in addition. A person can't have too much intelligence, too much education. The more you know, the more you're worth. However, in the world of cranes and a lot of other industries, you get people that turn out of a school and they think they're ready to go out and kick the world's ass. And really, what ends up happening is they end up getting theirs kicked. So, if you're capable of reeling yourself in a little bit, go through the school and don't put yourself in a position where you're getting in over your head. So, um, you got to crawl before you walk. And honestly, if you want to save some money, I don't know where you're located. I don't know what your situation is. If you find a local trade union and get in with them and go through their program, it's a whole lot less expensive. I mean, a whole lot less expensive. I know people that have paid $20,000 for crane certs and CDL, and I can't say that's $20,000 wasted because you will eventually make your money back. But I'll give you an idea of how much it cost me to get my crane certs. It took me 4 to 5 years on the ground to get knowledge, about 6 months worth of studying, and this many dollars. I got paid the whole time I was learning how to operate cranes. So there's that. Now some of the trade or some of the unions are charging a little bit, but um, if they do charge a little bit, typically it's negligible. So there's that. Timmy Fenster, do you even lift bro smaller the shoulders? I haven't been in a gym for years, so there's that. I don't know. I I don't know if that was sarcasm or if he really thinks my shoulders are small, but I've been told I have fairly big shoulders. I don't know. How you even wearing that shirt? You got no shoulders. I would say that I'm probably bigger than your average dude. So James Berger, I'm not going to be able to put my diecast crane back together. Well, we're going to hide that. So, culture, if you're going to come on here and stir up drama and crap, we don't roll that way on this channel. So you can shape up or ship out. I don't care, either or. Shane123 on TSSTLL and company has paid me for my time and all sorts. Rigor one as well. Yeah, that's if you can get them with a company that will put you through that stuff. That would be the way I would go. I wouldn't just jump straight into a crane school, go out and get your certs because odds are if you find a reputable company or a decent company, they're not going to put you right in the seat of a crane straight out of a crane school. It's not likely to happen. Now I have seen it happen. I don't agree with it, but odds are you're going to be sitting on that money for a while. So balance that out. Robert Meyer, the apprenticeship for operating engineers, you'll get paid to learn. Fawn Hills, I've told people before that the cert fancy piece of paper will get you an interview, but it won't give you that one iota of ability. That's a fact. Harvey O'Hare, how are you doing? Listen to some what? Timmy Funsters, dude's got the body of a 5 foot tall woman. He's got no shoulders or body mass. Oh, we got people stirring the pot in here, everyone. Shane123, been a while since I caught a video on your channel. Just caught you were live on the sidebar. You're a taxi Tadano operator, right? I am indeed. So culture's getting kicked. Let's just hide him on the old channel. We're gonna get rid of this one too. Sorry, I got sidetracked. I'm getting rid of idiots. Thomas Nelson, how are you? Says you won't pass the practical right out of school. It takes experience. That's a fact. Okay, let's see. Now we can get caught back up here. Brent Studemeyer, Robert Meyer, it's because of the push for diversity these days. It's very difficult to get in a union apprenticeship if you're a white male. I don't know. I mean, we're taking people all the time. We take all different demographics in local 101. Von Hill seems some people don't know how to act. Oh well, the world keeps spinning. Yeah, I don't get it. I guarantee there's not any one of those people that was commenting that would say that stuff to my face because um you guys have seen me in videos. I'm a pretty decent sized guy. And I'm also one of those people that I have no problem knocking someone's chiclets out if they deserve it. So there's that. Um, Funny story. Back in the day, I've actually got a scar right here on my middle finger where I popped a dude and his tooth was stuck in my hand. It happens. Golem one competition. Shane123, we just picked up a 2021 ATF 130 G5, brand new, like 3 months ago. Got to get a few days training with the Tonto crew out of Texas. Lift adjuster is pretty cool. However, the only thing about lift adjusters, they got to have you perfectly centered up over it when you use it. Otherwise, it's just not. I'm not all that impressed with. I mean, it's a great feature if you're doing something that's really precise and you know you're centered up over it. But I very, 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 I can count on half this finger how many times I've used it. But I know who you got to hang out with, and I'm guessing Shane, you got to spend some time with Leon. And if he gave you his phone number, keep it because that dude is sharp as a tack. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Tadano issues, Leon walks on water. Tyler Greenhill, I could probably put together something of setting up a crane on very uneven ground. Cribbing multiple layers sucks, especially with a bigger AT. It's a pain. 3-legging them's hard. I probably won't even show how to 3-leg a crane on my channel, just because it can be dangerous, and people have turned cranes over 3-legging them to get them matted up. But yeah, I could probably work around something. I don't know. Next time I'm out in a boom truck and I'm gonna be on some real uneven stuff, I'll throw you guys or show you guys how I kind of walk them up on there. Tyler, I am not an owner operator. I'm just an operator. I'm gonna practice on the old friction rig. Von Heel says every trade around here is begging for workers right now. If you have any willingness to work and get dirty, you can basically choose what you want, who you want to work for. That's a fact. Stephen Black, those guys are just causing crap, man. I've always thought you did lift. Your shoulders are huge, dude. I don't lift. I work. I go to work every day. Now, I used to be a gym rat when I was growing up. I started wrestling when I was in 4th grade. Wrestled all through, from 4th grade all through the end of my high school career. and I was in the gym 3 times a day. I was in an hour and a half before school, 2 hours during school, because in high school I had weight training and gym class. Well, my gym class was also my wrestling coach, so he would have me in the weight room during my gym class. So I was in basically weight training 2 hours during the day, and then I was back in the gym after school. So I lifted a lot, but not anymore. I'm paying the price for all that now. I've had shoulder surgery, hernia surgery, my left knee's jacked. Every so often, my back does stupid stuff. Um, the price you pay for the stupid stuff you do when you're younger. And I jokingly told my wife, I'm like, man, if we feel like this in our mid 40s, we're not going to be able to move when we're 60. So, no, we'll see. Going one hydros are easy to run. Most of the time, they are. We do get into some sticky stuff here and there, but Brent said if you're new to cranes, I'd say get the NCCER certification first. Then once you have experience, go for the gold standard NCCCO. Oh, Shane said no, it wasn't Leon. It was the other one. I believe he said there's only 2 of them that fly around the country. Von Hill said there's one of me setting a transformer. He's trying to find it. Oh, Shane said it was Andrew, but yeah, I got his number. Okay. Oh, Tyler, you must have to do a lot of funny matting up doing cell towers. I can sympathize. Joel says, "Do you know why your company uses Tadano cranes instead of other companies like Liebherr or Manitowoc, etc.?" So, if you're a Liebherr guy, I'm probably going to catch some crap for this, but I'll take a Tadano over a Liebherr any day. And here's why I say that: we get excellent service out of Tadano. Um, if you get excellent service at a Liebherr in your area, then buy a Liebherr. If you get excellent service at a Grove in your area, then buy a Grove. I've always been a proponent of purchase what you can get repaired in your area, because even dozers, skid loaders, excavators, every piece of machinery out there at some point is going to do something stupid, and it's going to stop working for you. And the key is getting it back up and running as quickly as possible. So we get excellent service out of Tadano. And honestly, I've operated Liebherr, I've operated Tadano, I've operated Grove, I've operated Link Belt, I've been in some Manitowoc stuff. I I'd put a Tadano up against a Liebherr all day, every day. Cabs might not be quite as comfortable, but capabilities and the our Tadanos, they're smooth machines. I got no problem with them. Tom Snell's always tell guys I'm not real smart, but I can lift heavy things. Most already figured that out on their own. Von Hills. I did have a house job I did not too long ago. I had my front tires up high enough that they were probably about 4 feet, 4.5 feet off the ground, maybe 5. And I've got some footage of it that I've got to edit. Going with Manitowoc Grove 24/7, 365 crane care saved me. And that's the big thing. I mean, if you're getting good service out of a company, by all means, use them, because your machine's going to break down at some point. It's going to happen. You're going to need service. So run with what you can get repaired in a hurry, because downtime is expensive. Going one Liebherr. That Liebherr has a lot of money. How much clamshell bucket work have I done over the years? What are your thoughts? I don't do clamshell work. I've been involved in a little bit of it. We've got a couple operators at our shop that we used to own an old link belt friction rig, and there's a video of it clamming. And so we sold it to the port. So what we bought that crane specifically for sitting at the port and clamming out barges. And it's a port on the Missouri River. Well, the port ended up buying the crane from us, and we just man it whenever they have barges come in. But we don't own that old link belt anymore. But I've got some footage of it clamming, but I don't do the clamming. I don't run a friction crane. I've played around in one a little bit, but I just I stick with the hydros. Call me a sissy, whatever. That's what I do. I try to stay in our 200-ton Tadano, and hopefully I can retire sitting in that crane and hang my work boots up after climbing out of it. Von Heels, everything's going to break and they're all junk when they're broken down. Yeah. Robert Myers says, I'm a white male, first generation operating engineers. I'm first generation in the operating engineers for my family as well. I've got some distant relatives that are in. And actually, when I was getting in, my dad said, hey, do you want me to call them and have them put in a word for you? I'm like, no. I want to get in because of my skill set, not because of who I know. I'm not a big fan of the whole, oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I would rather work off of what I know and not who I know. Jared Snook said, just how are you doing? So just tuned in to say hello and keep up the good work. Bearded short guy at Herzog. Keep my son safe out there, Jared. So back on some of my rail car videos, the company that hired us to pick those rail cars, my son actually went to go work for that company. So he works out there in that facility where I go out and pick up rail cars occasionally. So Jared works with my son out there. So Jared, try to keep him alive, and hopefully he's doing a good job for you guys. I told Brian out there, I'm like, hey, if he needs tuned up, call me and let me know, and I will tune him up. But I hope he's doing a good job for you guys out there. Tyler Greenhill, we run a lot of link belts because we're only 20 minutes from the factory. That would make a big difference. Von Heels, we still take care of the maintenance on that machine. So it just sits down there. They own it. They pay us to put an operator in it, and then they pay us to do the maintenance on it. And I try to stay as far away from that thing as possible. The reason being, that thing is one misstep away from a tetanus shot. It's an oldie, older than me. But I mean, I guess it still operates pretty decent. I just don't play in friction rigs. Joel Walter says, is it possible to get away with a Class B CDL for a couple of years? You're going to limit yourself with a Class B. I'm not going to say it's impossible. If it were me, I would just get the Class A with no restrictions. And now with CDLs, if you take it with a pintle hitch trailer, then you're restricted to a pintle hitch trailer. If you take it with an automatic transmission, then you're restricted to an automatic transmission. So I would take it in a manual transmission with a kingpin and not restrict yourself in any way. Could you get by with a Class B? I'm not going to say no, but I think you'd be better off with a Class A. Jared said he's doing great getting his hours in running ground for the switch crew, but now that the weather's nice, he's got it made. Just got to get him trained up to run the loco. I told him, I said, why don't you derail that thing so I can come out and work with you guys for the day? if you guys derail your switch engine, then I'll come out there and re-rail it for you. Von Heels says, I would imagine you'd rather be the one doing the maintenance on what you operate rather than trust someone else. Funny story. So I was busy running that dozer earlier in the week, last week, and a couple of the guys at the shop thought that they were going to service the 200. It's just changing the oil and filters and making sure the auto lubers are filled up and checking gearboxes and checking the drive line and planetaries and all of that fun stuff. Just going over everything, greasing boom sections and wear pads. And I told them to leave it alone. I'm the only one that services that rig. I'm the only one that operates it. And so since I operate it, I want to be the one servicing it. And it's not a matter of making sure that they do it right. It's I want to look at everything while I'm working on it. So when I'm in there greasing wear pads, I'm looking to make sure the wear pads are still in place. I'm checking welds, make sure there's nothing cracked. I want to put my eyes on every inch of that crane while I'm servicing it. And if someone else does it, then I don't get to see those things. So I don't know, call me selfish, but if I'm operating it, I'd rather be the one servicing it. Tyler says, my first crane I operated was for a sign company. It was a 1960 Skyhook with electric motors and handbrakes. That sounds like a joy. Jared Snook, they put a couple cars on the ground. We got them back on. Well, that's no fun. If you guys derail them, then call me. I'll come put them back on for you. Gives me something to do. Justin Heil, how are you doing? Joel Walters, Class A CDL has an age limit of 21. I can't get it right out of high school, sadly. I think you can get, I may be saying this wrong. I think you can still get a Class A at 21, but it has to be an interstate and not intrastate and not interstate, one or the other. Basically set up where you can't leave your home state. I'm not certain. You'll have to research that, but I think that's right. Where you can still get a Class A, but you can't leave the state that you're licensed in. Mommy Hills probably don't want you cutting more holes in the sides of their cars. Go home one, change winch oil. My winch on the Grove cost $80,000. Yes, winch oil does get changed. Oh, Jared, we try to get him re-railed before the boss finds out. I can understand that. I was told that I guess you guys have some more of those rack cars or something. I guess I might have to come out and pick one of those off here before long. But I don't know, it'd be kind of fun to go out there and do some crane work working around my son. But Jared, if at any time he needs to be tuned up, if he's doing something stupid, feel free. Because I told him before he went out there, I said, 2 rules. You don't put these where you wouldn't put other parts of yourself. And then the other rule is you don't put yourself in any position where you're going to get dead, because there's a lot of things out there that can get you dead. But I think he came home his first day and he said someone else told him that. It may have been you. Also told him you don't put your finger where you wouldn't put your. But I told him that before he ever went out there. But I appreciate you guys looking out for him. And that's, if I didn't have a working relationship with you all, I would be reluctant to have him go work there, because it can be a dangerous. I mean, you guys are rebuilding rail cars. That's a dangerous industry. And having worked around you guys and seeing your guys' competence and how you guys carry yourselves and how you handle yourselves, I don't worry about him at all when he leaves for work in the morning, because I know you guys are out there keeping track of each other and you guys are professionals. And, we like to have fun and play around stuff while we're out there some, but, everybody's professional and everybody looks out for one another. And I appreciate you guys for that. Golem one, back to your winch oil. Mine's actually getting pretty close to due. I need to drain it and refill it here before long. Von Heels. My brother-in-law had a new CDLA driver in one day. Get stuck in the grass turning around, tear the windscreen off a trailer, and put the rear of the trailer through a loading dock door. Aced his test though. Oh, it's actually kind of painful. Some of the jobs that we've done, we've actually had to have our guys get in trucks and back them up to us so we could unload them. And I know that's got to just be terrible for the driver, like to get taken out of their own truck and have someone back a trailer in for them. But there are some CDL drivers out there, or big truck drivers, that you'd swear all they do is drive in a straight line their entire career because they can't turn around and they can't back up. So, yeah. Oof. Jared, I got to build them racks first. Also, no worries on tuning them up. I've got a hold of him a couple times, but he listens and it's all good. I appreciate the kind words and compliments. Well, I appreciate you guys not getting my son dead. Going on Planetary's oil also a lot. Yeah, we change the planetary oil pretty frequently. We spend a lot of time going down the road, and even if you stop and cool them off, those planetaries still get hot. In the dead of summer around here, those planetaries get hot enough you can't put your hands on them, and that oil definitely doesn't look the same coming out as what it does going in. Trying to think of what else we have coming up for work. I know we got a house tower, tanks. Um, that one job where I'm going to be dropping stuff through a roof hatch, I won't be able to record there. It's a facility that they don't allow cameras on site. But that might be one that I could set a camera up on my computer. In my last live stream, someone was asking about the pressure transducer readings on the outriggers. So I'll try to get a camera set up on my computer so you guys can watch the outrigger forces change as I swing and boom down and lay it out to 170 foot or whatever it's going to be, 165, 170 foot radius. Bonnie, don't stick your finger where. Yep, it's number one rule on any job site. And honestly, with all the stuff I've worked on over the years, I'm pretty amazed that I still have all 10. I've done some pretty heavy duty work on stuff. I worked in a shop where all we did was basically undercarriages and final drives on D6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. And man, you want to talk about hard and heavy and pretty dangerous work. I figured that would be the shop that I'd lose a digit in. Fortunately, all I did was put an angle grinder into my knuckle and got a couple stitches out of that, but that's self-critiquing. That's one of those things that you typically only do once. Learn that lesson pretty fast. Art Walters, good to see you back on, Jimmy, but got to go for now. Be looking for you. Thanks for popping in, and I'm gonna try to maybe crank out a couple videos this week. We'll see what happens. Von Heels used to tell new guys that I would never hold it against them if they had a question, concern about something, even if I seemed frustrated at times. And I'm the same way. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Actually, the only stupid question is the one that's not asked. I would rather someone ask a stupid question 45 times than put themselves in danger or hurt somebody. So, and I'm pretty patient with people on job sites. Now, there are times when my door gets flung open and there's words exchanged, but typically that's when people are doing something stupid for the second or third time, like walking under loads or putting themselves in a position where they're going to get smashed if something shifts, um, or if they've rigged up a particular thing three times the right way and then when they do it wrong the fourth time and like, hey, you guys already did this three times. You did it right the first three times. What happened on this one? And sometimes it's just oversight, but I have stopped job sites before and climbed out of the crane and had a nice little meeting with about 10 people and explained to them if they kept walking underneath the load that I was going to go home and we'd come back the next day and try it again. So there's that. One thing about sitting in a crane, if you're the crane operator and you're responsible for everybody's safety, you also have to have a little bit of an attitude that allows you where to tell someone to go fornicate with themselves, because there are times that you have to do it. It's the people that don't have the ability to tell someone to go fornicate with themselves that are the ones that end up hurting themselves or someone else. And I've got no problem doing it. I won't let anybody dictate to me what I do with that machine when it comes to the safety of the machine or people working around it. I won't do it. There's no negotiation. If I feel it's unsafe, going to tear the machine up or hurt somebody, we're not doing it. And no one else is going to do it. I'll disable the machine and leave it before I allow someone else to get in and do it. That's the way I roll. You know, Big Blue that went down, there was an operator that was in that machine that refused that pick, and he did it for a reason. And then he got out of it, went home, and someone else got in it and made the pick, and it turned into a catastrophic event. I won't put myself in that position. I'd rather disable the machine and everybody goes home at the end of the day than let someone else put someone in jeopardy. Von Hills, there's no reason to take unnecessary risk like walking under a load. Sometimes you have no choice but to work under a load, but you should still minimize the risk as much as possible. And there are times when working under a load is permissible. Just building cell phone towers, swinging iron, flying trusses. I mean, all those things. It happens, and um, I've even allowed people to get underneath big vessels and stuff, but we'll put dunnage underneath it, and or I'll set it in a situation to where if something happened where the rigging failed or the hook failed or anything, if the winch brake gave up, anything can happen. That it's not going to crush them. It's going to scare the crap out of them, but it's not going to crush them. So, we'll dig a hole and slope the sides and set something over the top of it and let someone work on the bottom of something that's still rigged up. If that we'll go through those procedures if we have to. Really, I've found another set of crane mats. A stack of crane mats is pretty handy to have around because you can stack up 4 crane mats 4 feet tall and hover a load over it, and someone can safely get underneath it and work on it. Going one, baggage handlers don't tell the pilot how to fly the plane. True story. And in our company, we have carpenters and millwrights and whatnot, and we have our own superintendents. We have our own job sites, and occasionally we'll have friction with our own superintendents. And basically, it comes down to it's kind of like a power struggle. They want to control the work because it's their job site, and when the crane pulls in, they think that they're going to control every aspect of that. And I have educated them over the years that they're not actually going to do that. So I guess that's the polite way of me saying that ain't gonna happen. When the crane pulls in, I'm in charge of the crane and everything that happens with it. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the owner of our company has reiterated that to them a time or two when it has come to an argument or whatever ensues when I tell them no. But and now it's to the point that our guys know that I'll give them everything I can give them, clear up to the clear up to the limit. And if I say that it can't do it, then they know that I've worked it out that it physically can't be done. So we need to regroup and do something different. And I've had a few with conversations with customers. I mean, it happens. Ultimately, we're all out there for the same goal, is to do a particular job, but sometimes they overlook some of the finer details of things that can happen, and it's my job to point that out to them and reel them in a little bit. Oh, James said his dad's home with an injured torn rotator cuff. Hope he gets to feeling better. Rotator cuff, that would be. I've never had rotator cuff surgery. I had short surgery on this shoulder, but it wasn't rotator cuff. But I've heard rotator cuff's kind of a rough one to go through. Go on one, turn the LMI key. I try to stay away from turning the old override if I can. I have had to do it, and there was a few cases where the crane actually had a malfunction, and I had to hit override to get it back into a condition that it was happy with. But that's what that key's for, is in case something happens where you need to get the machine back to a safe configuration. James, that can be a tough fight, so dig your heels in. Work comp can sometimes be a difficult one to deal with. Gary Johnson, how are you doing? Said hi, Jimmy. It's good to see you. Going will just save money. I got into a pretty heated argument with one of our superintendents. He wanted me to fly a man basket in 40-mile-an-hour wind. I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. He said, well, then you need to call our owner and let him know that you're shutting his job down because it's too windy. I said, well, you're the superintendent on the job site and want to have all this control. So why don't you call him and get back with me on what he says to you? And he did. And our owner told him that I made the decision when it came to the safety of the crane. And if it's too windy, we'd go home and try it again the next day. And our superintendent was not happy. Yeah, he wanted to be in control of the job the whole time, and then when it came to me shutting him down, he wanted me to call our owner and tell him I was shutting down. I'm like, hey, you want to be in control of all this? Why don't you call him? And then after you talk to him, have a discussion with him, you let me know what he has to say, because I knew exactly what he was going to say. I mean, it was I knew beforehand going into it that our owner was going to stand behind me on it. It's his $1 million crane that I'm running. And I've also explained to a few of our superintendents, I said, here's the situation when it comes to unsafe or risky behavior with machines like this. And they said, well, if something happens, we still got to answer to our boss just like you do. I'm like, no, it's not our boss or our owner that I'm worried about. I said, if something happens and someone gets hurt or killed and we go to court, the difference is you're a witness and I'm a defendant. And I said, you guys don't understand that if something catastrophic happened and we were in a courtroom, they would be a witness to the event and I would be defending myself, trying to stay out of prison. And I'm not going to go to prison because they want to fly a man basket in 42-mile-an-hour wind. Just ain't going to happen. Von Heels, I had a heated discussion with an equipment mover that wanted to use two 5K working load limit straps to move a 20,000-pound machine. Their view was that the straps are stronger than the working load limit. My view was just do it right. They put the safety factor in there for a reason, and it's not so you can work into the safety factor. The safety factor is there in case the rigging slips a little bit and there's a little bit of a shock load, or that's why that stuff's there. It's not, hey, you got a 5K strap that's technically the braking strength's 25K. It doesn't mean that you can use it for 10K because you're under that 25K. You got to stay within the working load limit, not the braking strength. Yeah, Von Hills, why would you want to work anywhere near the limit with human lives when you can just try again tomorrow? Yeah, I don't get it. Uh, I I'm not a fan of people that try to put money ahead of lives. It just doesn't sit well with me. But that's why, I mean, you do see some crane operators out there that are pretty timid, and they're job scared, or they want to put a cape on and try to show the world that they're better than everybody else, or whatever, and they'll go out and push the envelope, and they might get away with it 1,000 times, but all it takes is once. And I'm not that guy. I mean, I'll do some stuff with a crane that some people might stand back and look at it and be like, I don't know about that, but I guarantee you, if I'm doing it, I've calculated it out and I've worked through the situation and assessed everything that goes along with it. And I'm still working within the parameters of the machine because, like I said earlier, if it goes to court, that's what they're going to pull out is the machine specifications. Guarantee any court case where there was a crane involved, there was an operator's manual and load charts in that courtroom. I can promise you. Mike Manfred, how are you doing? Says, hey, Jimmy, glad to see you again. Tell Charles I said hello. Vaughn Hills, I'd rather be unemployed at home because I refused to do something I thought was unsafe than to be sitting at a defendant's table. True story. Courtroom is no place to be. Katie says, hi, Jimmy. Hello, Katie. I'm going to do my best to make it the next, let's see, I'm going to be 45 this year. Maybe retire at 60. I don't know. We'll see. I'm thinking worst case scenario 62. So next 15 to 17 years, I'm going to do my best to avoid a courtroom. Okay, says I met you. Let's see, met Ron. You did live stream. I'm not sure I'm following that. Were you on here when I did Ron's live stream, or when Ron was on a live stream with me? And one of these days, I need to drive down there and hang out with Ron. It's about a 6.5 hour drive for me, but that would be a good time. I wouldn't want to just show up unannounced, but um, I'll see if I can make that happen now that the weather's getting nice. Maybe I'll give Ron a call and see what he's doing sometime this summer. I'll try to shoot down there and hang out with him for an afternoon or something, take him to lunch. I'd just like to meet him. He's such a great guy. Kay said he is amazing. He is for sure. Going 158 now, don't retire. I see a lot of people that just keep on working, and then I've got plans. I'm gonna act like I'm a professional fisherman when I retire. Oh, Mike Manford, dang, I missed a live stream with you and Ron. That was a long time ago. I had Ron on this channel. I think you were probably on there, Mike. It'd be fun to go down there and hang out with him though, and check out his rotator. I haven't I haven't touched a rotator before, so it'd be neat to see that side of the world. Von Hill said, but Ron would love to do some crane lifting training with you and the new guys at the shop. I didn't think of that. I wonder if Ron would be receptive to that because I wouldn't want him to feel like I'm coming in and stepping on any toes. Ron's got a pretty good handle on things. I don't know. I'd have to be careful with that because last thing I'd want is Ron to feel like I'm coming in and trying to sidetrack his guys and do things differently than what he wants done. But Von Niels, and you just might learn a thing or two about a thing or two. I probably would. Those guys that run those rotators, I mean, they get into some scenarios where they're making it up on the fly. That industry, I mean, about everything they do is making it up on the fly. Yeah, that's a good point. Said it'd be more of a cross training type thing like they do with firefighters. I don't know. I'll shoot him a text or give him a call later this spring. I'd rather do it when it's not 105 outside as opposed to, you know, do it when it's about 75 outside instead of 105. That's the funny thing about where we live, Ron and I. Ron's a little better off than what we are up here in Northwest Missouri, but um, we get Minnesota winters and Texas summers. It's phew, it can be minus 25, almost minus 30 in the winter, and it can be 100 heat indexes of 115 in the summer. Katie, I did hear that his dad passed away. I'm friends with Ron on Facebook, and then also I chat with him occasionally via text, sometimes call. I haven't called him for quite a while, so we haven't talked on the phone for a while. But Chad said it's probably closer to what you do than you think. Probably is. Yeah, that's a good point. Says it never hurts to have more viewpoints on how to do something safely. Ron always says there are many ways to add to 10. There is many ways to add to 10, and there's a million ways to make a dollar. My father-in-law always said there's a million ways to make a dollar, and in order to be successful, you have to be right 51% of the time. I'm like, I don't know, but I guess there is some truth to that. But that other 49%, that could be filled with valuable lessons, I suppose, or expensive lessons. Tell him Katie says hi. Next time I talk to him, I will. I know he worked a huge wreck down on what was it, 57 this past week or something. It was terrible. Yeah, I-57 near Charleston, Missouri. Um, looks like there were 6 deaths. He was part of cleaning up that wreck with a bunch of other companies. And it was. Let's see if I can pull up this picture. Oh, it's a video. It was terrible. Now, this is on a news channel. Oh, focus. Focus. Come on, focus. Focus right here. Just focus. You guys got the gist of it. Terrible accident. Let's see. Get caught back up here. Dane says new cranes these days can be monitored in real time by manufacturer. Older cranes still record data that will tell. A lot of them do have telemetry on them. The one that I'm in doesn't have telemetry, but it records as soon as you get to, as soon as your yellow light comes on. So as soon as you get to 90%, it starts data logging. Katie says you never ask this guy to do anything he wouldn't do himself. I'm the same way. I don't ask. I don't ask the guys I work with to do anything that I haven't done or wouldn't do. Chad said looked like it was a whiteout because of extreme fog. Von Hill says I'm sure we'll not see that on his channel if there were fatalities. He keeps that stuff off the channel for good reason. I wouldn't put that kind of stuff on mine either. And I've had people ask me to. Even my brother, he's like, dude, you could do an awesome video where you just pull in clips of crane accidents and give your 2 cents on what happened. I'm like, I don't want that stuff on here. I don't want the negative stuff on the channel. I want to show people what you can do with a crane going out and using it correctly and taking it home at the end of the day, and everybody walks home or walks to their vehicle and drives home in the same condition they showed up. That's the kind of stuff I want to show. I don't want the negative stuff on here. Now, I did do a live stream where I talked about some of the stuff that AVE was going over on that tower crane collapse. And basically why I did that live stream is there was a lot of speculation, and there was speculation being thrown out on his channel. And his, if you guys, any of you watch AVE or are familiar with him, he's got a lot of subscribers, so he could reach a lot of people with that speculation. I saw the pictures. I knew exactly what happened. And so I did a live stream explaining that. But um, I try not to bring the negativity in here. James says I really like Ron's videos on his channel. This is the only other channel that I've watched every single video on besides mine. Well, I appreciate that, James. Tommy32, how are you doing? Chad said I think it was close to 40 cars in a truck with several semis. Mike said I think he's showing parts of Ron's channel, but not the fatalities. Katie, you have little kids watching you. Yeah, and there are a lot of kids that watch this channel, and I'm okay with it. I know there was a big ordeal going through the old YouTube a while back with kids' videos, and I was kind of concerned on how it was going to affect this channel. And I don't make this content specifically for kids, so ultimately I didn't have to worry about it. But if I'm setting a house, for example, and typically when I am setting a house, the family that is buying the house is there. And a lot of times it's younger families that are buying these modular houses, and they have kids with them. When we're at the end of the day, after the house is set and we've got the crane partially tore down, if I have a few minutes where I can put the kid in the crane with me, I've had 4-year-old kids on my lap operating the crane, and they love it. I let them turn it in circles. I let them cable it up and down. I'll let them boom up and down. Their parents will take pictures, and that's all stuff that gets kids excited about the trades. And ultimately, that's the future of our industry. When I retire, I need other people coming up that are going to be paying into our pension. Otherwise, I'm not going to have much to live off of. But every opportunity I can to expose the younger people to that crane and what we're doing, I try to seize that opportunity, because it makes memories for them. They'll never forget it. Their parents love the pictures, and maybe I'm creating the next generation crane operator. Who knows? Von Hills, there's no reason to do reaction videos to accidents as you do not have the whole story. There's that. Again, I try not to speculate on what happens. during people's setups or whatever. Katie said, sorry for my spelling. No apology necessary. James said, I've watched all of your videos and I've watched a few of them multiple times over. I need to make some new ones so you don't have to keep watching the old ones, huh? Mike said, no, my son enjoys watching your crane videos. Katie, I have not done anything with Make a Wish. I don't know how many kids are out there with Make a Wish that want to be a crane operator for a day, but I can promise you, if Make a Wish reached out to me because they wanted a kid to be a crane operator for a day, I would go out of my way to make that happen. Our owner would not have an issue with it, and we would do whatever they wanted to do that day with the crane. I would do it on my own time. If our owner said, "Hey, I'm not going to pay you to do that, but if you want to do it on your own time," I would absolutely do it. Saturday, Sunday, whatever, after work. That's whatever. James said, I also very recently learned that my hometown, that for years I lived less than 1,000 feet from a crane manufacturing facility. I wonder who it is down there. If you can find out, let me know. Tim Skiff, you provide top quality content. Please go easy on yourself. I try. Dane, just waving back at a kid from my crane really lights them up. And it does. I mean, kids are naturally drawn to heavy equipment, I'm sure. I mean, and actually, people in general are. People are curious about stuff they don't really know a lot about. And kids are definitely curious because they don't know a lot about a lot of stuff. Just I'm on a family trip and drove past a shop on Friday on I-55. We'll be going back north probably tomorrow. Well, if you were on the west side of the state, I'd tell you to stop by and I'd buy lunch. But um, you're going to be on the east side of the state. Avon Hills, there's always heavy things you can pick up even if you don't have a job booked at the time. That's true. Katie, I am not on call. Not so to speak, really. Um, I suppose if one of our customers called in at 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever, 2 o'clock in the morning and said, "Hey, we've got an emergency," I would, as long as I could get the crane there, I'd probably go do it. Um, I am limited by running in the daylight as far as traveling. So, unless there was an emergency, if one of the utility companies or a railroad or another facility declared an emergency and cleared it through DOT for me to travel in the dark, then I could. But um, typically, me driving after dark is a no. Just a mechanic. I am still running the same crane. Mike Manfred, heck, Charles is running a 3 Series John Deere tractor at 6 years old. Good for him. That's awesome. And uh, we grew up, I grew up in the city, but we did a lot of hunting and fishing and stuff growing up. So we were kind of city farm kids. But um, where my kids grew up, we were just a mile north of my in law's farm. And so both of my kids were exposed to equipment at a young age. Von Hills, I believe Jimmy runs all the cranes at his company except the friction rig, of course. I'm not our primary operator on our boom trucks or our 100-ton crane. I'm only our primary operator on our 200-ton crane. That's not to say I don't go do boom truck jobs, because I do. Um, it all depends on what everybody else is doing that day. We've only got a few operators, and they may be out doing other things. So um, I can jump in any of them and go make stuff happen. So okay, you're not trying personal. Well, you don't have to worry about getting too personal. I'm pretty much an open book on in I don't have a problem discussing much of anything. Woofy W, how are you doing? Mike Manfred, he's 11 now. Time flies. It does. I'll tell you how much time flies. My daughter's getting married next year, so yeah, she's engaged to the same kid she's been dating since her freshman year in high school, and she's now 20 years old. They've actually been dating longer than a lot of marriages survive. So I'm perfectly content with it. He's a good kid, and he's an apprentice in the pipe fitters. His dad's a pipe fitter. Before he's even out of high school, he had his HVAC certification, and yeah, he's a good kid. He's respectful. Um, I haven't had to beat on him. Haven't had to dig a hole and threaten him with it. I couldn't even clean guns in front of him and intimidate him because he hunts and fishes and everything else. So he'd just want to help me. You know, they say, "Oh, grab the shotgun and sit there, clean it when your daughter's boyfriend comes in the house." Well, that wouldn't do any good. He'd just grab the cleaning kit and start helping. So, yeah, I really don't have anything bad to say about him. I got lucky, I guess. There's so many other people out there my daughter could have latched onto that I could have been concerned about, but she picked her a good one. Let's see. Oh, James says cherry picker parts and service and manufacture galleon. I've seen the old galleons. No one else runs the 200, but you do hop in and out of the others when needed. That's the way that works. Now, the guy that runs our 100-ton occasion, well, the guy that is primarily our 100-ton operator, where was I at? I think when we went to Destin, Florida last year, he took it and did one job, and that's the most he's operated it since 2016. So he's not in it enough to be really fluent with it. It's got its quirks. Like our 100-ton and our 200-ton are both Tadano machines, but they're just different enough that if you're used to the 100-ton, you're going to struggle with the 200 and vice versa. James Berger on the one I live close to is cherry picker parts galleons. Yeah. Woofy W here late, but at least I made it. You did make it. Richard Savalio, how are you doing? He said, "Holy crap, it's Jimmy with a live stream." I did one about 3 weeks ago, I think. Um, you really be like, "Holy crap, it's Jimmy with a video" when I get one edited and uploaded. So, like I said earlier, I'm gonna try to kick two out this week. We'll see what happens. Von Hills, by the same token, you're probably going to be even more cautious when you're in any of the other machines than you might be in the 200. Yep, and our to jump out of our 200 and jump in one of those 50-ton boom trucks, it takes a little bit of getting used to because they move around a lot more than our 200-ton does, unless you're stretching it out a long ways or doing a tower. Richard says on a service call for last live stream. Conrail, that's what railroad tracks are you passing over? I'm not sure which railroad tracks you're referring to. Maybe in the beginning of my videos, if that's what you're referring to, because we do have a set of tracks that runs right next to our shop. That if I leave our shop and go south, I'm going over them, and it's a BN line that runs through town. Also, when I start throwing more videos out again, I try to stay caught up on comments as much as I can. But if for some reason you guys throw a comment on there and I don't respond to it, I'm going to apologize now because it is getting to the point that it's hard to keep up with all of them. So I had a guy tell me a long time ago on this channel. I think I had 4 or 5 thousand subscribers, and he's like, I appreciate you commenting back to me, but at some point you're not going to be able to. And I thought he was crazy. I was like, this channel's not going to grow like that, and I should be able to keep up with everybody. It is getting to the point where it's hard to keep up with comments on videos. So if you guys comment and I don't respond, please don't be offended by it. It's not that I'm overlooking anybody. It's just physically hard to keep up with all of them. For instance, if I post a video in the first 24 hours, it will typically get over 100 comments. It's hard to go in and respond to 100 comments when I'm still trying to do other things in my life. So just know that if I don't get back to you on there, my apologies. Jake Snake, we are union. Von Heels Ron's extremely busy with his increased responsibilities as well as the new guys he's trying to get trained up. Yeah, I bet Ron is burning. I bet he cut his candle in half so he'd have 2 more ends to burn. And I've been there. It's tough. Conrail nuts were those ballast hoppers from Herzog. They were. Seth Grayson, how are you? Says, hi, nice to see you on again. You drop anything 3-year skylight yet? Nope. The hammer's not done yet. Jake Romano, that shirt is great. Good evening, everybody. So, Jake, since you're just tuning in, this was sent to me from the girls with the juicy caboosey on the caboose video. They have merchandise. If you find them on Facebook, or you can Google them. I think they're on Twitter, Instagram. Who knows? They're probably everywhere. You can go on there and order merchandise, follow along with their endeavor, and if you make it down to Mississippi, you can go have beverages with them when they get done. I also just post a video on one of those days where you'd have to sit in the seat waiting for 10 hours. I would be able to keep up with comments then. Mike Manfred, it's also becoming working season. Workload is going up. My working season just pretty much stays consistent. I am consistently busy, and it's self-inflicted, some of it. Even if I'm not busy at work, I'm busy here doing stuff. It's like never ending. And it also, some of it's a stinking house. So this house we've lived here for 5 years. It'll be 5 years this month. Actually, it was 5 years on the 17th. But we bought a house that the people that lived here before us really didn't do any maintenance. They just lived in it. And I felt like I bought it right, but it also comes with fixing some stuff, updating some stuff, doing stuff here and there, and then also taking care of the stuff that breaks, everyday life stuff. But probably would have been easier if we would have bought a little smaller house, but that was my wife's doing. Construction engineering failure analysis. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I try. Conrad, apparently Herzog has an issue with lettering. I don't know what you're talking about with that, but Kenneth says, hi, crane operator from Philippines. How are you doing? Scott Becker, how are you doing? Says, hey, Jimmy, just now popped in. I'll rewatch this later. James said, I seen on Facebook that Tom was getting ready to come out with a new crane. It's an AC 2.041. So Tadano bought DMAG, so they're still building like DMAG cranes, branding them as Tadano. But if I'm not mistaken, I think they're using Tadano LMIs and electronics in them. They put themselves into a pretty strategic position in the marketplace by buying DMAG. That gives them the ability to put out 1,000-ton hydro and some really big lattice boom cranes. Von Heels, if you ever run out of things to do, there's a big metal toy to finish so you can play with it. That's a fact. I look at that thing almost every day. I'm like, man, I just got to force myself to make time to do it. And then your oven quits working and a replacement's 7 months out. So you end up hacking your kitchen apart to put a stove in, that kind of thing. Oh, God, let's look for the Herzog candy canes. I'll Google it, see what I come up with. But anyway, we have been going now for a couple hours. I am going to jump off of here and try to start the editing process on some footage and see what I can come up with. I think I'm going to do the water tower next. That'll be that should be a pretty good one. That we're two lining some pieces, and that should be a pretty good video. At least I think so. I don't know. It's kind of strange because some of the stuff that I think would be awesome doesn't do very good, and then some of the mundane stuff that I do, I'm like, wow, that really surprised me. Just like the caboose, I figured the caboose would get a ton of views on it. I'm really shocked that it hasn't gotten more. I don't know if it just wasn't shared a lot or what, but I really figured that caboose would because it's a little bit different. It's old. Given what they're doing with it and the story that's kind of in along with it, I figured that it would really go well, but I don't know. James said if I was a good enough welder, I'd offer to come help with the hammer. My welding skills aren't that great. I can stick weld, but not great. At this point, it doesn't even have to be great. It just has to be stuck together. Taylor says, I think a lot of it has to do with the YouTube BS. I think so too. I'm like, man, for what? No cell tower? I do have a cell tower job coming up. So I think on the 28th is when we're supposed to set it. But last I checked the weather, I don't think the 28th is going to be one for setting a cell tower. Let's see if it's changed. Yeah, winds out of the east southeast at 33 miles per hour. I don't think we'll be putting a tower up that day. Ken says, what's your thoughts about this new electric crane of Zoom Lion? I'm not a fan of Zoom Lion cranes. I'm also not a fan of Sannies. Vonnie Hills. I just told a guy that the other day. Remember the adage, a grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't. There's a lot of truth to that. Jake Snake is Tadano glide swing only. It is a free swing crane, but I can also leave my swing brake engaged and it'll operate as a non-free swing crane. Taylor, I don't see us getting anything bigger than our 200 ton. That fits our demographic well. We don't lose hardly any work at all because it's undersized. I don't see us buying anything bigger. It would have to be a spectacular deal on something for us to pick something else up. So, but anyway, with that said, I'm going to go grab some SD cards and throw them in this computer and fire up the editing program and see if I can stick some stuff together that I'd want to put my name on and throw out there for the world to see. So anyway, with that, I hope everybody has a safe week, and I appreciate all your guys' support and you guys sticking with me through all this and making this possible. Taylor says 275 seems to be a lot of St. Louis market. St. Louis got a lot of bigger stuff, a lot of bigger buildings than what we have here. Our tallest building in the area is about 200 feet. Mike Manfred, have fun editing, and we will see you next time. I'll do another one of these in a couple weeks. So hopefully nothing else in our house breaks where I have to dismantle my kitchen for 2 weekends. So anyway, with that, like I said, I appreciate everybody. When I throw a video out, if I don't immediately get back to you guys on comments, I apologize. Just know that I try to keep up with them, but I also still have a bunch of stuff on my plate. So with that, I appreciate everybody. Two Top Crane is out.